Hello VC, this is Ron and I'm back with part 2 of my non-US bands singles collection, and I'm going to get started with The Who. And this is the first Who single, I Can't Explain, and on the flip side is Bald-Headed Woman. Bald-Headed Woman's a bit of a rarity. It was not originally on the first US album or UK album, and this is a later pressing, and this is how I can tell. If you look there below the Decca, you'll see MCA. And MCA and Decca were a merger in 1968. So that's a clear indicator that that is not original. Originals are quite rare. That single didn't even crack the top 100. And this is their second single, Anyway, Anyhow, Anywhere. And this is an original one. You can see there's no MCA. And the flip side is Anytime You Want Me. And both of those are non-album tracks. And that's one of my favorite early Who tracks is Anyway. Very cool. This is My Generation. And this would be a fairly big hit for them. It reached number 74 on the charts. And the flip side is Out in the Street. And both of those tracks are on their first album. This is Substitute on Atco, and if you read that at the top, what it is, it's kind of a transition version. It's the first version labels on the second version of the record. And the first version of the record said, "I look all white, but my dad was black." And on the second version of the record, it says, "I keep walking forward, but my feet are moving back," or something like that. And the flip side is Waltz for a Pig, which is not actually The Who. It's the Graham Bond organization. And I don't really remember what the story is behind that offhand, but it's pretty weird. And the first versions will say an arrangement with Polydor Records of Great Britain, and the second versions of that label will not say that. This is I'm a Boy and In the City, which was originally non-album. This is the US picture sleeve of Happy Jack, Ralph Steadman artwork. And the flip side is Whiskey Man. It's a John Entwistle tune. And you'll notice they spelled Entwistle with an H. And for some reason, a lot of the early records with his name on there have an H. Later on, there was no H. So I'm not sure if that's a mistake or if he changed the way he spelt his name. This is I Can See for Miles. It was a pretty good hit for them. And Marianne with the Shaky Hands. And that's actually a non-album version of that song. And all over the world, that song was released with the title Marianne with the Shaky Hand. But in the US, it ended up Shaky Hands. This is Magic Bus, which is originally a non-album track. It didn't end up on the Who on Tour album in the US, which was basically made up of B-sides and singles, that were thrown together on an album. And the flip side is Someone's Coming, another John Entwistle B-side, non-album. This is Call Me Lightning. And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which were, again, non-album tracks originally. I believe those ended up on the Who on Tour album. This is the Who Pinball Wizard US picture sleeve, and that is from the album and not from the movie. The flip side is Dogs Part 2, which is a Keith Moon cut. And this is a reissue of the first Who record when they were the High Numbers. This is a 1980 release, and it's the UK import on Backdoor. And this was released in the US as well, but it had just a very slightly different picture sleeve. And it was released inside of a various artist album. It was like shrink wrapped to the front of the cover. And I believe in the UK that was sold individually. It didn't come with any album. This is an original My Generation UK pressing. The flip side, Shout and Shimmy, which is a rarity. This is a German substitute with Waltz for a Pig on the flip. Look at the nose on Townsend on that picture. It just lit up like a light bulb. And it's on International Polydor label. This is the original UK pressing of Happy Jack on Reaction. It has a flip side, I've Been Away, which is a John Entwistle tune. You can see that they spelt his name with an H. That tune was not released in the US originally. This is a bootleg of 4 songs of this was originally a UK single, I believe. Daddy Rolling Stone was the B-side of Anyway in the UK, and that was not released in the US. And then on the flip side they have a couple of Stones covers that were released as a single, and those were quickly released in support of the Stones when they got busted for drugs. And it didn't sell, and original copies are quite rare. Those 2 tracks were not released in the US. This is a reissue, a 1983 reissue of Ready Steady Who. And it's notable for the second version of Circles. The first version of Circles is on the first US album. And this has an alternate take of that. And I'll get a little shot of the back. It's got some tracks that would end up on the Who on Tour album in the US. This is a flexi disc of some early Townsend demos, acoustics, My Generation and Pinball Wizard. And this was originally released in the 1980 book, The Who, Maximum Rhythm and Blues. Okay, I'm going to show some Yardbirds now. This is For Your Love. Big hit for them. And the flip has Got to Hurry. This is a US picture sleeve, A Fart Full of Soul. And you'll notice that's a pretty early picture, probably taken in '64. Keith Relf looks like he's about 15 years old there, but he's actually quite older. And you'll notice Clapton is there, which is interesting because he doesn't even play on this record. And the flip side of that is Steel Blues. This is white label promo of Over, Under, Sideways, Down, and it's got Jeff's Boogie on the flip side. Non-LP, and I believe Steel Blues non-LP too. And this is the US picture sleeve for Over, Under, Sideways, Down, and stock copy with that. This is a US picture sleeve for Happenings 10 Years Time Ago, and look at that lineup. Page, Beck. I mean, those guys should have dominated the world right there with that lineup. And you'll notice Beck's looking away from the band. It's like he's saying, I'm out of here, mates. But yeah, he left. They only did like 2 or 3 recordings with this lineup. One of them was in the Blow Up movie where they did Stroll On. This is Jeff Beck, Beck's Bolero. And this is his first single after leaving the Yardbirds in 1967. No, this is, I believe this came out in '66. The album came out in 67. I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, I was looking through a Yardbirds book once about 15 years ago. And it said that the lineup on that track, you won't believe this, it said the lineup is Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and Keith Moon. How do you like that? This is Tinker Tailor Soldier Sailor from Little Games, and the B-side is Ha Ha Said the Clown, which is a non-album track in the US. And Manfred Mann actually did a cover of that as well. This is a promotional piece for Great Shakes. It was like an instant shake that you could shake up in the glass. And I remember seeing the commercials for this when I was a kid. And some of these have commercials. This is just strictly recordings, you know, just straight songs. And it does have the Yardbirds on it doing My Girl Sloopy. And here's a few Zombies. She's Not There. And the B-side is You Make Me Feel So Good, which is not on the US album, maybe on the UK. This is Tell Her No. And the B-side is Leave Me Be, which was not on the first US album. And this is Time of the Season. And the flip is Friends of Mine. Well, guys, that does it. That's the box is empty. The only thing that might be in there is a few dust bunnies. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's it, man. So, hope you enjoyed that. Till next time, guys.